Yo guys, it's Vin, and today I'm going to be giving you a bunch of random tips to help you master one of the best weapons in the game right now, which is Axe. Now, with that being said, this probably isn't the best time for me to record this video because BCX is right around the corner, and I think we're all expecting at least a few Axe nerfs, looking at the meta and looking at what weapons players are playing at the high level right now. So, some things are subject to change, but the general idea of all these tips will probably remain the same. So yeah, let's just start with something simple. My first tip is to take advantage of GC and platform cancel Dlight after sidelight Nair. Now this used to be a 3-part true combo, but it got nerfed, and ever since then I haven't seen a lot of people use GC Dlight or platform cancel Dlight. But in my opinion, there really isn't a reason to not go for it at the beginning of the match. If you catch them without a dodge on white, this is nearly guaranteed because it's 2 frames on 2 Dex Taros. If you have a 6 Dex legend like Brawlhalla, you're going to be getting this only 1 frame. And now granted, sidelight Nair into a GC Dlight, that's going to be 3 or 4 frames, but my point still stands. The dodge window is extremely small. Catch them with no dodge, this is nearly guaranteed. And even if they do have a dodge, probably they won't do it because they won't use it because many people aren't doing this right now and they're not expecting it. My second tip is to spam Nair. Now, there's a lot of reasons to spam Nair, but I'm going to briefly go over the main ones. Just look at this hitbox. Look at that giant circle where the axe is. That shouldn't exist, and it should. It allows you to do things really wonky off stage with axe, which I'll show you in a second. The next reason is, granted, I am playing like 8 strength Taros, but look at that. That's like 20 damage with 1 Nair on this 5 defense Bodvar. You're going to be building damage really quickly, especially with how fast this move is. Nair juggling is extremely, extremely strong. Not to mention, you can even drift the move. Going like this, if you think you're gonna miss, drift backwards. It's really, really safe. It's kind of the same thing with Dair and even Sair. Now, Nair excels off stage. As an anti-edge guard, this is extremely good for stuffing out options. Not to mention this wonky hitbox. It will catch people in really dumb places. Look how far away I am from the edge. I'm literally just using the drift of the move to go into the stage and catch people off that. And that's a free 20 damage every single time I do that. Some other good ways to use it are following up off of Dlight. Because if they're on low health and they don't jump or they don't do anything, this is nearly guaranteed. Maybe not in this string because I am doing a lot of damage to him, so it's pushing him away. But if I do like a Dair Dlight at low health and a Nair, that's, if they don't jump, they're gonna get hit by that. One other place I like to use Nairs is off the platform. You can go for one of these, the dash forward, dash back Nair. You can even go for a dash forward falling Nair like that. They all cover different areas and they're really useful for juggling because let's say I send someone in the air and I'm doing jump, Nair, even jump fast fall Nair, right? Those all cover different heights, so I can kind of match my opponent, trace their options, and catch them with the Nair as they fall down. However, when they get to a certain point, they get this area where they think they can land, right? They're really close. There's not enough time for me to jump fast fall Nair them to juggle them. When that happens, you dash off the platform and go like this because the Nair will cover the entire platform. And as you know, when someone is struggling to land, they'll probably gravitate towards them, the platforms that is. So this will send them back in the air, and after you hit that Nair, you can even follow up with more Nairs. Juggle with it as much as possible because a lot of times people are only getting 1 sidelight Nair when if you're tracing your opponent's options and they like jump afterwards, that's an easy 2 or 3 more Nairs you can follow up with. Now my next tip is something that's super important, but I'm going to keep it as brief as possible because if I'm not careful, I could literally rant on for hours about this, but don't just falling Dair and don't just falling Sair, alright? Why would you want to be only using those 2 moves when they're super predictable when you have access to some of the greatest force fields in all of Brawlhalla, which are Nlight and Dlight? Now again, these things are subject to change, right? Nlight and Dlight are atrocious. They are so unbelievably gross in this game. Trust me, I'm an Axe main, I know. I use them all the time. They're gonna get nerfed, for sure. But the hitboxes are still crazy, and I highly doubt that these will change. The nature of the move is that if someone is moving all over the place, instead of trying to fall on top of them and time your Dair, if they're going like this, just run up to them and Nlight. This will stop them in their tracks, especially if someone's floating all above you. Of course, yeah, you can Nair, whatever, but if you want to stay on the ground, which in my opinion staying on the ground is really good in Brawlhalla, better than just floating, Dlight. Dlight covers that perfect 45-degree angle that a lot of weapons like to approach at, and it has insane range, and it can even hit grounded. So you can even walk up to somebody in Dlight, and you can kind of cover both options in a way. Not to mention, instead of just falling Dair or falling Sair, jump Dair and jump Sair are also really, really good. One of the safest ways to approach somebody is to walk up to them instead of Nlighting, because they think you might Nlight, right? If you keep spamming this option, is to walk up to them and jump Dair, and this will actually cover like panic jumps if you know your opponent likes to jump, and you can even drift out of it if you think you're gonna miss, right? This is something that also may be subject to change, but for now, definitely abuse the drift ability of Dair. It makes it super, super safe to approach. And I know, approaching with jump Dair really only catches like these panic jumps, but the reward is super, super strong, right? If you catch a Dair, like a rising Dair, instead of going for a Dair Dlight, like you would if you go a falling Dair, you can jump Dair into a falling Nair, and that's really good too. Not to mention, if they like dodge or something, you can go for another Dair, and that will just continue your string potential. And of course, Sair is your main kill option, and it's kind of hard to catch like these really close side-late Sairs. We'll talk about this in a second, but a lot of people, when you walk up to them, they will like panic jump if they're scared of you. So you can kind of just walk up to people and jump Sair, and it will probably catch, because look at this hitbox is also atrocious, right? It hits low, and it has these lingering frames on the top, which hit at really weird angles. Not to mention, jump Sair into the wall is one of my favorite options in the game for edge guarding. Of course, if you can hit a jump Sair like this outwards into the stage, you want to be doing that because it'll kill literally in yellow. However, a lot of people, especially in like diamonds below, will dodge into the stage. And if you know, dodging into the stage cancels your dodge. So you can kind of just float here, right? They think that you're going to jump Dair them, right? Like any normal axe player would. And they'll dodge through you. And when you're coming back and they dodge through you, you jump Sair. Two other moves that are really good, just like jump Sair and jump Dair, are actually the circular moves, jump ground pound and jump recovery. Now, axe players get a really bad rap for doing these ground pound and recovery things off stage, and I mean, rightfully so. It is really annoying, but as much as we like to complain about them, I don't think a lot of axe players are really fully exploring all the ways you can use these moves. Unlike a lot of other weapons ground pounds, axe ground pound can very effectively be used on stage. For one, it's basically a free reading tool. This will cover basically every option in the game if you know how to move, if you get a hard read on them. But also, you can kind of just like throw out this ground pound, and if they spot dodge like that, you just hold it longer, and it will still do the full 21 damage, or 20-ish damage. Recovery kind of goes the same way. If you're on later health, recovery is better because it does have more startup, but it has like this forward momentum. It brings you upwards. So if you get in a place where you can't follow up with anything, like this Dair, I can't follow up with anything else, I can catch panic jumps with a Dair into a recovery. Not to mention, recovery, not even in late health, is really good out of side late Nair. For example, this is a great down dodge catch. You can even do like chase dodge recoveries that way. Jump recovery, of course, is the classic. Some other ways that you can use ground pound recovery for edge guarding are actually pressuring from the edge right here. A lot of people, they'll expect you to, or a lot of people will expect you to kind of dash jump ground pound like this. So they're going to want to return to the corner here. And in reality, this is one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion. Returning to this corner here is really dangerous, but a lot of people will do it still. So if you notice someone is going to come to this area, they're probably going to anticipate your attack and try to dodge through you, right? So when you know that they're going to dodge through you, you jump and you hold a ground pound, because even when they go through you, it will still catch because it is a circular move. Now, the last three tips had quite a lot of layers to them, so I spent kind of a lot of time on them, but these next final three, I'm gonna just try to rapid fire through them. The first one is use weapon throw. There's nothing more to it. Weapon throw on any weapon is really strong, but especially on an axe, because the hitbox is decently big, but mainly because the Nlight hitbox is huge. So when you catch this weapon, although there are a lot of dodge frames, it looks like, this Nlight will very likely hit them. Now, my next tip is GC side late Sair. Everybody knows Side Light Sair is kind of an atrocious combo, but it is inconsistent because you need to be catching it really close to them. However, if you do a GC Side Light, the range of the Side Light Sair where it hits true is extended because they get propped up lower when you hit the GC Side Light, like this. So my biggest tip for this, though, is not just to use GC Sidelight, but also be careful not to spam it. You don't want to be fishing for GCs, because if you miss, Sidelight in and of itself is very punishable, and if you're fighting a string weapon, you're going to get hit hard because you used your dodge. In my opinion, one of the best ways to use GC Sidelight is to kind of think of it as an afterthought after you dodge someone's attack with a spot dodge. Now, let's just say there's this Bodvar is over here, and he attacks you like a dash jump move or something. I jump and I spot dodge, so he runs past me, right, because I dodge his move. And now since the Sidelight hitbox hits kind of aerial, I cancel it into a GC Sidelight because it will cover this jumping area here where he will be, and even if he fast falls down to the ground, it will still catch him, and I catch a quick Sidelight Sair, and if he's on red, that will be true, and it will still kill him. Now my next and final tip is to bait people on the edge with your SIGs and even Dlight. Now we'll get into that in a second, but let's just start with your SIGs. Legends like Taros, Azoth, even Rayman with his D-SIG, you can kind of spam it on the edge like here in a place where your SIG obviously will not hit, but that's not the point. You want your opponent, if they're on the edge, to think that you're in enough recovery frames that they can run up and punish you, right? But in reality, your Axe Nlight is so quick and has such a huge hitbox and active frames that you can literally SIG into an Nlight immediately, and it will catch them when they try to punish you. This is really, really strong, especially when they're on red, because a lot of people will actually like try to come up here with a recovery, and oftentimes your Nlight will beat them out. It will stuff out their recovery, and now they get sent off, and they only have a few options left, right? They're down to recovery, and it's easy to edge guard them from here. But like I said, there are other ways to bait your opponent on the edge too. You can even do it with Dlight, right? This is subject to change because Dlight frame data may get nerfed after BCX, but my point still stands that right now, if you do a Dlight a little bit farther away because, you know, you take a step forward, there are like no recovery frames. This Dlight will never hit anybody, and your opponent knows that, so they're going to try to run up and punish you, and as you do it, you immediately Nlight. Anyway, that's a lot of random information, but I hope it helped you. Again, a lot of these things are subject to change because of the inevitable axe nerfs after BCX, but regardless, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.